Hey everybody, welcome back to another fun and exciting Algebra 1 class. Today we're going to be in Lesson 7.7. Lesson 7.7 is, I don't know about easy because I hate to use the word easy when we're talking about algebra. But if you have been following along, if you've been right with me and you've been kind of, understanding what we've been doing, I think you're going to find Lesson 7.7 to be a fairly easy lesson for you. What we're going to be doing is really the same thing. It's just more practice with factoring. The only thing that we're adding now is if you look down here at the screen, we're going to add this in the last term. We're going to add a variable in the last term, but nothing really changes. Okay, what do I mean by that? Well, let's factor the first term. So let's just jump right into it. Let me give you the page number first. Page number is page 251. Page 251. All right, so we have x squared minus 3xy plus 2y squared. What we want to do is take this one and we want to factor that. What are the factors of that? Well, we have x and x. And now we can figure out our signs. So what would our sign matrix say here if we have a negative and a positive? Okay, negative positive is going to give us a negative negative for the signs, negative negative. And then we have to factor this. Now, not only do we have to factor the number this time, we also have to factor the letter. So 2 would be, 2 times 1 or 1 times 2, either way you write that is fine, and y squared is going to be y times y. So this is going to go in the first one, so we'll put 2y here, and then we will put 1y or just y in the second one. And now you just try it out and see if you got it right. So we need to FOIL, but really we only need to do the outers and the inners. So we're going to get, what's xy times xy? Well, it's xy, and it's a negative y, so it's going to be a negative xy. And then here's the inners. We would have another negative 2xy. We would combine those or add those together, and when you're adding two negatives, you get negative 3xy, and that is indeed what we got there, so that would be our answer. So our answer here would be right there, x minus 2y, x minus y, and that would give us our middle term to work out. Okay, so really nothing new there, only that y squared. And what do we do with the y squared? We just factored it into y, and one of those got a y, and that one also got a y. Okay. All right, let's look at the next one. This is on page 252. Page 252. All right. So now this time the only difference is with that first one that we did is now we have a leading coefficient other than 1. So our leading coefficient is 2, so we just have to factor that. What do we get? 1 times 2. And so this is going to be a 1x and a 2x. A 1x and a 2x. This kind of messes with our signs just a little bit when we have a different number out here when it's not a 1. And so we don't know exactly what the signs are going to be. In other words, we don't know which one's going to be bigger. We do know what the signs will be because that's going to give us a plus and a minus. Now, it might give us a minus and a plus just based on whichever one works. We don't know. We just have to do some trial by error here. So let's look at this one. And now we know that we need a 1 and a 6, or we need a 2 and a 3. Those are our two options. And the y is going to be a y times y. All right, so this one is definitely going to get a y here at the end. And it's either a 1 and a 6 or a 2 and a 3. I gave you a little advice. I said don't try the 1 and 6 first. Try the 2 and 3 first. Usually they don't give you the 1 and 6, but just about the time I say that, then they're going to give you the 1 and 6, and they're going to be like, hey, I thought you said they don't give you the 1 and 6. Well, they might. Okay, so let's try it out and see what happens. Okay, so all we're going to do here is just keep trying new things until we can get something that works. And remember, the only ones that we have to mess with are the outers and the inners, and we're trying to get that to give us this negative xy or negative 1. That's what we're trying to get right there. All right, so let's do the outers, and we're going to get a positive 3xy. The inners are going to give us a negative 4xy. Wow, I think we might have got it on the first try. I think we got very, very lucky right there. And what happens when we add those together? It gives us our minus xy. We got lucky. Now, you say, Mr. Steve, I'm looking in the book and you just cheated. You just looked down there at the answer. I promise you, I promise, okay? I did not do that. I just guessed. Okay, so I just wrote 2 and 3, and so I wrote 2 and 3, and yeah, so we got lucky there. Now, you're not going to get lucky like that every time, so it's not, you might have to work through all of them. If you look at the example in your book, they work through 1 and 6 first, and remember, that's what I told you. You don't want to start with this 1 and 6. Now, it might work. Maybe on the next problem it's going to work, but I would always start with something other than the 1 in the 6 or the 1 in the 8 or the 1 in the 10. I would always start with something other than that, okay? All right, here's another one, and this would be the next example in the book. It's on page 253, Now, this one takes a little bit more effort than the last couple. So what's going on here? Well, what's going on here is that the 10, the 36, and the 16 has a common factor. We can undistribute something right there. What can we pull out of that? Okay, we can pull out a 2 from that. The 2 comes outside. Now, there's more, okay? So look, there's also an X, an X, and an X. There's an X common in all those. So we can undistribute a 2X. Remember how to do that? It's been, a few lessons since we've really done that. So let's go ahead and pull out our common factor. We divide each one by that. Okay? And so that's going to give us what? Well, that's going to give us a 5x squared minus, that's going to give us an 18x, okay? Because x2 subtracted from 1, it gives you x1 or just x. And then what? And then we would get, this would give us a negative 8. And then the x goes away there and just a y squared. Okay? And so that's what we end up with there. Now what? Okay? Well, now what we do is we factor it. One thing is right here, you have to remember that this 2x just kind of stays there for a minute. We're just going to leave that 2x alone. We're not going to mess with him right now. What we're going to mess with is this. We're going to try to figure out what are the factors to this. So here with the 5, we have 1 times 5. Now we don't have anything else there. It's just 1 times 5. So we can't try anything else. And then we just have x times x. So that's going to look like 1x and 5x. Okay? And then we would come over here to this one, and we have, notice we have a negative negative. So what does that mean? That our signs are going to be, one's going to be positive and one's going to be negative. Okay, make sure you're checking on that sign matrix that I gave you. Make sure that you're understanding that. Why is that true? Because here, in order, when we multiply, it has to give us a negative. So we have to have one that's different. Basically, when this is negative, when the last term is negative, you're going to have one of each. When the last term is positive, you're either going to have 2 negatives or 2 positives, and that will depend on that sign. So make sure you understand those signs, what's going on right there. All right, so this guy is looking, there's an 8, so it's going to be 1 and 8, 2 and 4. Those are our options right there. Okay, and then we have a y times y. Okay, and so obviously it's going to get a y, and then which one are we going to put in? I don't know. I always said start with the 2 and 4, don't start with the 1 and 8. So let's start with 2 and 4. Some of you are looking in the book going, no, don't do that. Okay, I did look ahead on this one because I didn't want to make the same mistake, because I want to practice a few. I want you to see it when it doesn't work. Okay, so I already know this one's not going to work because I already looked in the book, but when you're working these problems, you won't have the book to tell you. You won't have that cheat to look at. So let's practice without looking in the book. Let's practice wondering maybe will this work. We want to do the firsts, and that's going to give us negative 4xy. And then we want to do the last, and that's going to give us a positive 10xy. So when we go ahead and subtract that, because it's actually combining, and how do you combine different term or different signs? We're going to subtract, take the sign of the larger, so that's going to give us 6xy. 6xy. Now, there's some different things that we can kind of look at here, and if you look in the book, let me show you some things. Let me show you kind of what happens right here. If you look in the book, one thing that they try is they try to switch these signs. So in other words, they make this the positive and this the negative. So this is going to be the negative and that's going to be the positive. They just switch the signs. Well, notice what that does to the answer when all you do is switch the signs. All it's going to do is make that a negative answer now. Okay, that's all that's going to happen. So switching the signs is not the right method here. Why not? Because we already had the wrong answer. Okay, that 6xy didn't match that no matter if it was positive or negative. So switching the signs is not going to be enough right here. So let's keep those just positive, negative for right now. So what do we need to do? Well, we need to switch something else. What could we switch? Well, there's different things that we could switch. Let's try to switch the 5 and the 1. Let's see what happens with that. So we're going to make that a 1. We're going to make that a 5. We're just switching those. We could also switch the 2 and the 4. We could also switch the plus and the minus. We can switch the signs. But I just showed you in the book how when you switch the signs, all that changes is the sign of your answer. And since we need a negative 18 and not a negative 6, well, that's not going to work for us. So let's go back to the drawing board here, and let's try to switch the 1 and 5 and see what happens. All right, so there we go. We're going to get a negative 20xy. And then we're going to do this right here. And we're going to, ooh, this looks good to me. This looks really good to me. We're going to get a positive 2xy. Notice, why does it look good? Because I have a 20 and a 2, and we're subtracting, and I get an 18. That's exactly what I get. I get my negative 18xy. Okay? So if you look in the book, you'll see that that is indeed the correct answer. You have a 5x plus 2y. And a 1x minus 4y. How did we come up with that? We just started trying things. It's called trial by error. In fact, we made an error. We put the wrong thing in first. We went back to the drawing board. We put some things in. We kind of figured some stuff out about the signs, put in some new numbers, switched some things around, and then boom, we got the right answer. So that's what you have to do. You just got to try new things. There's no magical formula. I can't say, oh, this is going to work every time. Oh, this is not going to work every time. All right. So just keep practicing. Keep trying these. Keep plugging in new numbers until you get that O and I to give you that middle number right there, because that's what we're looking for. We need it to give us this middle number, this negative 18x. As soon as it gives you the negative 18x, you know you have it correct. Okay, well, I told you that was going to be easy, right? Just kind of repracticing some of the other things. The only new thing we added right there was that y squared at the end. What happens? Each one of them get a y. That's it. That's the only thing that we did new in this lesson. Okay, well, I hope you learned something there. I hope you keep practicing these and keep practicing for your quizzes and tests that are coming up, okay? All right, we'll see you later. You have a good one. Bye-bye.